It is Thursday, January 3rd. Democrats refusing to negotiate a border wall deal as the shutdown enters day 13.
And the president is holding to $5 billion just hours before the Democrats take control of the House.
I just hope he's going to be a team player. And if he's a team player, that'll be great.
And Mitt Romney taking his feud with the president to another level.
How the senator-elect is doubling down before he's even sworn in.
And if you want to lose some weight in 2019, well, the hilarious way police officers are making that resolution come true.
Fox and Friends First continues right now.
As we now have divided government in this country. Good morning to you. You're watching Fox and Friends First on this Thursday morning. I'm Rob Schmidt.
And I'm Jillian Mealy. Thanks so much for starting your day with us. We begin with a Situation Room showdown. President Trump holding firm on the board wall after Democrats are accused of derailing the high-level briefing.
And there is still no deal as the partial government shutdown enters its 13th day. Doug Luzader is live in Washington, where Democrats are soon to take over the House. Hey, Doug.
Good morning, and there may be a partial government shutdown underway, but Congress, for one, is returning to work today. Just don't expect a deal anytime soon.
They try and make it like it's just about the wall, and it is about the wall. I said over the weekend to a number of people that, you know, the wheel and the wall, there are some things that never get old. It's never going to change. The wall is your number one point of security.
The president there with some extended remarks at the start of a cabinet meeting at the White House yesterday. He's showing no signs of giving in, and neither are Democratic congressional leaders who later met with him.
Every Democrat is for border security. We want to make sure that America is safe. We want to make sure that it's secure, and we want to make sure that people who come into our country are known to us and are authorized to come into the country. What we dispute is the means that the president is trying to recommend to affect those objectives.
I was a little disappointed with, I would say, some on the other side. They wouldn't, once the secretary started, Senator Schumer interrupted her, and they really didn't want to hear it. We were hopeful that we could get more in the negotiation.
No deal yet, but they will have another crack at it tomorrow. The president has invited all the relevant players back to the White House for another bargaining session. Rob.
Thank you, Doug.
Doug, thanks. The stalemate in Washington continues as we head into day 13 of the government shutdown.
Senator Lindsey Graham says Democrats are just being stubborn, but in the end, they will pay a price.
It's called compromise. The president said, let's make a deal. The Democratic response is basically, go to hell. They're going to send a bill from the House to the Senate that has no money for the wall. It's not going to see the light of day. Mitch McConnell's never going to bring a bill onto the floor of the Senate that doesn't have money for the wall. We need the wall. They've all voted for the wall. And the only way we're going to get the wall is to fight for it. I tell you exactly how this is going to end. The president is going to challenge the Democrats to compromise, and if they continue to say no, they're going to pay a price with the American people. Most Americans want to do two things. They want to secure our border, and they want to be reasonable to the people like the DACA population.
The Smithsonian Institution has now closed all 21 facilities and museums due to the shutdown, including the National Zoo.
The illegal immigrant accused of shooting and killing a California police officer is charged with murder.
We've been following this story. Todd Pyro joins us live as some officials are calling on the state to end sanctuary laws that allowed this alleged killer to roam free. Hey, Todd.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Jillian. Good morning to both of you. Gustavo Perez Arriaga, whose real name is Pablo Virgin Mendoza, appeared in court for the first time but did not enter a plea. His attorney questioning his client's competency to stand trial. The judge ordering a doctor's evaluation before the next court appearance. That's coming up in February. The suspect, who is from Mexico and was in the country illegally, had known gang affiliations and 2 prior DUI arrests. He's accused of gunning down Corporal Ronil Singh early on the morning after Christmas following a DUI stop. The slain officer's colleague saying enough is enough when it comes to California's sanctuary laws. The two joined Hannity last night.
And ask yourself the question, why are we allowing criminal illegal aliens into this country, and why is there any political interference in the first place in our ability to protect our communities and to have a communication or at least work with ICE.
It's time we started talking about having discussions about making communities talk to each other and getting back to where we were years ago, where we weren't fighting amongst each other all the time.
U.S. immigration officials confirmed that they had no contact with the accused killer until his arrest. Singh's family will say a final goodbye at a funeral service on Saturday in Modesto, California, followed by an honor guard procession. To donate to the family of Ronell Singh, please visit the Fox and Friends First webpage. Meantime, the Tunnel to Towers fundraising effort to pay off the Singh family mortgage has raised $238,000 out of the $300,000 needed. Jillian?
All right. Thank you, Todd. Such a tragic story. An Idaho nurse under investigation for possible ties to the case of a missing Colorado mom. ABC News reports the woman may have disposed of Kelsey Barrett's cell phone. It pinged in Idaho 3 days after Barrett disappeared. Now, it's unclear if the women knew each other. Barrett's fiancé, Patrick Frazee, is charged with murder. Today, their families will fight for custody of the couple's one-year-old daughter. Nearly a year after the mass shooting at a Florida high school, a new safety report finds schools in the state are still unsafe. The 458-page review outlining mistakes made by the school, local police, and the FBI. It includes recommendations to increase safety, like changing Florida law to allow trained teachers to carry guns. 17 people were shot and killed at the Parkland school last February as deputies waited outside.
We now know the name of the Marine killed in what appears to be an accidental shooting. Lance Corporal Riley Kuznia was shot on duty during a shift change at the barracks in Washington, D.C. Weapons were supposed to be unloaded there. His mother says being a Marine was a lifelong dream.
He was born to be a soldier. It's what he wanted to do from the time he was little. He wanted to serve his country. He wanted to give back.
Well, no criminal charges have been filed during his service. The 20-year-old Minnesota native received medals for the war on terrorism and for national defense. The American man accused of spying in Russia meets with U.S. Ambassador John Huntsman. Paul Whelan, a retired Marine, is detained in Moscow on espionage charges. The State Department is demanding answers about the natures of Whelan's arrest and whether these charges are trumped up. Why it took so long to gain access to him is another question they have. Whelan's family claims the Michigan man simply has a background in law enforcement and was in the country to attend a wedding.
The UK making no-deal Brexit preparations as negotiations hit a standstill. The Brexit secretary holding meetings today as opponents call for Prime Minister Theresa May to come up with a better plan. Critics say exiting the European Union without a formal deal or plan before the March deadline would be disastrous for trade, security, and infrastructure.
All right, dozens of President Trump's nominees are confirmed in a rare bipartisan moment on Congress yesterday. Overnight, the Senate signing off on over 60 nominations hours before the deadline. The package includes ambassador nominations for nearly 24 countries, director of the Census Bureau, and 8 U.S. attorney nominations.
Hey, look at this. That's the world's first close-up image of the far side of the moon. Overnight, China claiming the first ever landing on what is often called the dark side. The Chang'e 4's mission will measure the moon's terrain and mineral composition. Landing on that side is difficult because it faces away from Earth with no direct way to communicate with the spacecraft. Pretty cool.
There's always been theories that there are alien life forms on the far side of the moon, and
maybe we'll find out.
Maybe we'll find out, or maybe there just aren't, I guess. Who knows? But NASA has its sights set on exploring 4 billion miles away right now. Think about that. The space agency releasing stunning new pictures from its Ultima Thule flyby. And you can see that this icy world, it kind of looks like a snowman. This is way far out, way past Pluto. NASA believes it was formed during the birth of the solar system, which was more than 4 billion years ago. The craft that does the flyby and took the pictures moving at 32,000 miles per hour and has been up there for years now. Can you imagine getting that far out into space? It's just amazing.
That thing just needs its arms and its carrot nose and,
exactly.
all the good stuff.
Snowman.
The popular pop band Captain and Tennille has lost its captain. Daryl Dragon passing away from kidney failure with his ex-wife and longtime musical partner Toni Tennille by his side.
Love will keep us together.
I
Their 70s hit on Fox and Friends in 1998. They had a bunch of songs. Love Will Keep Us Together, Shop Around. Daryl Dragon was 76 years old. He's survived by his older brother and 2 nieces.
10 minutes after the hour, as the illegal immigrant accused of killing a police officer is charged with murder, 2 top cops are using the tragedy as a wake-up call that could save lives. Our next guest has seen firsthand the kind of damage sanctuary laws can cause, and he says the time for change is now.
And Democrats take control of the House in just a few hours, but infighting has already begun. How the far left wing of the party is trying to take on the Pelosi establishment. Stay tuned.
Government's #1 priority is to protect its citizens. That includes border security. It includes knowing who is here and knowing who needs to be removed.
All right, that right there from Stanislaus County Sheriff Adam Christensen, as the illegal immigrant accused of murdering police officer Ranil Singh made his first court appearance.
In a new op-ed, the sheriff slamming sanctuary city policies as protecting predators.
Joining us now to weigh in is retired INS Senior Special Agent Michael Cutler. Michael, thanks for coming on this morning.
Thanks for having me.
What do you make of this so far?
Madness. Look, we have immigration laws that have nothing to do with race, religion, or ethnicity. It's about keeping our criminals, spies, terrorists, fugitives from justice. Why would you not want to vet people coming into the country? Why would you want to protect people who trespass? You know, I made the point, I think, last time I was with you. Schumer wants a law that would make trespassing on critical infrastructure and landmarks a 5-year felony. Aliens who enter without inspection are trespassing. Aliens who commit crimes and then become deportable, even if they had green cards to begin with, pose a threat to public safety. And if you look at the 9/11 Commission, they said that national security depends on secure borders, whether it's the visa process or securing our land or seaport borders. So to reward people who violate our laws and sneak in surreptitiously and harbor and shield them from detection makes no sense.
And for the folks at home who are watching right now and may not know, you have significant personal experience when it comes to this.
I do. Years ago, back in the 80s, I was tasked with executing a warrant of deportation on a citizen of Panama who had a green card, lost it because of multiple drug convictions and weapon violations. I put him on an airplane. Unbeknownst to us, he came back to the United States. Criminal aliens who are deported and re-enter face up to 20 years in jail. This is a serious felony. I worked with Senator Al D'Amato in the 80s to create that law. It's the most frequently prosecuted crime by the federal government. But we didn't know this guy had come back. He was arrested twice by the New York City Police Department. They didn't tell us. The third time he's encountered by a 24-year-old police officer assigned to the Brooklyn South Task Force, and I did a lot of work with that particular division. He goes for the officer's gun. There's a gun battle. He kills the cop. I testified at the murder trial. Years later, without realizing it, and then I was shocked, I bumped into his daughter. His wife was pregnant at the time he was killed. He never met his daughter.
That's terrible.
These aren't victimless crimes.
Right. You look at this story and you think about California. Some of the furthest left of the liberals live in California, and they have a voter base that's very Central American in a lot of cases. They seem to think that illegal immigrants have a right to be in this country. So, you know, discussing anything with a federal agency after they get arrested shouldn't happen, because it should just be our court system that handles whatever they do. And that deportation should just be completely off the table. What do you think of that?
National security says you secure the borders. If you can't prevent enemy combatants from entering the United States, then we leave ourselves vulnerable to the gangs, to the violence, to terrorists, and to people to take Americans' jobs. And by the way, sanctuary cities encourage people to swarm the border, because the idea is if they can get past the border, they're home free in a sanctuary city. And the most likely victims of the violence are the members of the ethnic immigrant communities. Final point that must be made, because we keep hearing, well, if the police cooperate with ICE, then people won't report crime. That's nonsense. I spent half my career with the Drug Task Force. I was the first agent from INS assigned to DEA intelligence. One of my key responsibilities was to use immigration authority that I had as an immigration agent to cultivate informants and cooperating witnesses within the ethnic immigrant communities. There's no better example of being able to work within those communities than what I was required to do. And they found that my authority as an immigration agent made all the difference in putting together cases against major drug trafficking organizations.
All right. Michael, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Follow this story.
Yeah. It is 18 minutes after the hour. Could your neighbor be a terrorist fresh out of prison? You may soon be able to find out. The state's now preparing to roll out a terror registry.
And a paraglider gets a few more thrills than he bargained for.
Whoa.
Oh, man, little dust devil. He gets really thrown off of a cliff. See how this ends. Stay tuned.
Good morning and welcome back. Prices of some prescription drugs are going up. Drug makers defying President Trump's calls for more affordable care. The Wall Street Journal reports the average drug maker is raising prices about 6.3% in 2019. The good news is generic drugs are more widely available, but according to Blue Cross Blue Shield, branded drugs still account for 78% of prescription spending.
Health alert now, and a blood pressure medication is being recalled over concerns an ingredient could cause cancer. Aurobindo Pharma is voluntarily recalling 80 variations of Valsartan tablets. The product's expiration dates range from May 2019 to March 2021. The FDA says patients who are prescribed the medicine should keep taking it. They face a greater risk if they don't.
You should really make those things easier to pronounce.
All
the medicines out there. Okay, so people are flocking to Vermont. That's according to a new study tracking U.S. moves over the last year.
Tracy Garasio from our sister network Fox Business explains why. Hey, Tracy.
Good morning. Yes, this is an annual study by United Van Lines. They say that Vermont has the highest proportion of people moving there from other states more than any other in the country. Wyoming is second. Now, the reason why people are moving there, the majority say for jobs and also to retire. Now, the state where people are moving out of the most, New Jersey. That's followed by Illinois, Connecticut, New York, and Kansas. Now, the reason why people are moving out of New Jersey, according to the study, for other job opportunities.
Or I was going to say because it's expensive.
I thought so too, yes.
Just
that's
like
another
Connecticut
one.
and Illinois.
Yeah.
And New York.
Okay, so this next idea seems totally horrible.
Yes, well, a Chinese electric automaker wants to put a tablet in your steering wheel. So they're saying the tablet will be able to control the radio, the climate control in the car, also connect to other apps. And they believe it's less distracting in the steering wheel than to have it displayed anywhere else. So more details will be unveiled at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas next week. Byton, that's the company. They want to bring this car to the United States by 2020. So Tesla might have a little competition there, but I don't know. It doesn't sound very
safe. I can't see that getting approved. I really can't.
Yeah.
They're realistic, though. Everybody's texting and driving.
I know.
They can't stop it. Might as well make it as safe as you can make it.
I don't know.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy. Take a look at this incredible video. A paraglider being swept away by a dust devil. Check this out.
That's really scary. Rob's laughing.
Yes, I am.
The powerful whirlwind catching the paragliders, launching them into the air as he prepared for a group flight. The terrifying moments caught on camera by his wife. He was not hurt. So is that his wife screaming or him screaming?
I think that's his wife screaming.
Wow.
Well, glad he's okay.
Yeah. Crazy.
25 minutes after the hour, he won an election with President Trump's endorsement, and now Mitt Romney is dragging the president's name right through the mud.
I wish Mitt could be more of a team player. I think he agrees with many of the things that we've done and many of the things that we have in mind, and we'll see what happens.
You might have been surprised by his response, the olive branch that the president just offered.
And the government can earmark millions of dollars and justify wasteful spending, but they can't find money to build the wall. Congressman Michael Burgess is ready to cut the waste and secure his border state. He joins us next. Hope you're having a good morning so far. Welcome back. President Trump extending an olive branch to Mitt Romney, even though the incoming senator is bashing his leadership.
Anna Koyman joins us live with more on how the president is responding to Romney's latest attacks. Hey, Anna.
Rob and Jillian, good morning. Good morning to all of you at home. Yeah, they really seem to be on two completely different wavelengths, don't they? President Trump wants to work together as Republicans while the senator-elect continues slamming his leadership and character.
Now the country is as divided as I've ever seen it. People in many respects are angry and resentful, and they want to see leaders who can unite us.
But the senator-elect didn't stop there, also writing a scathing op-ed in the Washington Post. It says, in part, with the nation so divided, resentful, and angry, presidential leadership and qualities of character are indispensable. And it is in this province where the incumbent shortfall has been most glaring. President Trump hitting back, saying he would rather Romney focus his time on issues like border security.
If he fought really hard against President Obama, like he does against me, he would have won the election. I wish Mitt could be more of a team player. I think he agrees with many of the things that we've done and many of the things that we have in mind, and we'll see what happens.
Well, get this, Romney's niece is even getting involved. Ronna McDaniel tweeting this, quote, "The president is attacked and obstructed by the mainstream media and Democrats 24/7 for an incoming Republican freshman senator to attack the president as their first act feeds into what the Democrats and media want and is disappointing and unproductive." The RNC chair will join Fox and Friends this morning at 6:20 Eastern time with more on her uncle's dispute with the president. Romney responded to the president, saying he is willing to work together on issues regardless of whether they agree or disagree. Back to you.
The president took the high road on that one. Anna, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
On her first day as a freshman in Congress, Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez vows to vote down the Pelosi-backed House rules package. She's standing with a colleague, tweeting in part, quote, "I will also vote no on the rules package, which is trying to slip in #PayGo. PayGo isn't only bad economics, it's also a dark political maneuver designed to hamstring progress on health care and other legislation. We shouldn't hinder ourselves from the start. PayGo requires proposed spending be offset by a tax increase or budget cut. 18 Democrats would have to vote against the package for it to fail."
Elizabeth Warren slamming President Trump just days after announcing her bid for the White House. The Massachusetts Democrat telling MSNBC that the president and his cabinet members are wallowing in corruption.
I see him as what happens when corruption invades a system, that it gets a little bit corrupt and it gets a little more corrupt and it gets a little more corrupt and then it gets bigger and they get bolder and bolder, and then you end up with someone like Donald Trump.
That's her perspective. Warren said she believes Republicans are making excuses for President Trump's bad behavior because he has made good on certain promises like repealing Obamacare, or at least the individual mandate, and also cutting taxes.
House Democrats are planning to introduce a bill expanding the number of tax returns presidential nominees would be required to disclose. The measure would reportedly require presidential and vice presidential candidates to show 10 years of tax returns within 15 days of becoming their party's nominees. As we enter day 13 of the shutdown, frustration is growing over our government's wasteful spending, earmarking millions, but they can't find money to build the wall.
Joining us now to discuss this is Congressman Michael Burgess of the great border state of Texas. Michael, thanks for coming on this morning.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
All right. So, we're what, $22 trillion in debt right now. We spend money like it's going out of style. And a lot of the Republicans are saying, why can't you find anything for a wall? What do you think?
Well, this has been a concern that I've had for a number of years, going back to 2014 when the surge of unaccompanied minors into our state was occurring, really at the same rate that it is today. But why are we sending money down to those governments that can't take care of their people? We should be deducting the cost of the care of those unaccompanied minors who end up in our oversight refugee settlement areas. We should be charging those governments for the care of those children. And I've felt that for some time. So as far as funding border security with foreign aid that goes to countries that are not doing the job that they should be doing for their citizens, I'm all for that.
So as we know, because it's been covered the last few days on New Year's, there was another clash at the border with migrants and Border Patrol agents. And we had the Customs and Border Patrol Deputy Commissioner on America's Newsroom, I believe it was yesterday, saying, let me tell you what was happening that day. Just a few days ago, you had migrants purposefully putting women and children in front of them as they were throwing rocks and things at Border Patrol agents. My question to you is, we are hearing from Border Patrol agents what they need down there. Why are people not listening?
Well, that is the question for the hour, because my understanding, I was not in the meeting yesterday, but what's been widely reported in the press was Secretary Nielsen attempted to give a briefing via video to the people in the Oval Office, and Secretary Nielsen was just cut off. And Speaker Pelosi said, or Speaker-to-be Pelosi said, we don't need to be lectured. by you, but she was giving them a briefing on what the situation is on the ground, what they need, what is required. The president says we're in a shutdown situation because the Democrats do not want to fund border security, and I believe he is right. And that needs to stop because it's just wrong. The shutdown is wrong, but not funding border security is wrong also. And the amount of money that we're talking about, the $5.6 billion that the House Rules Committee made available that was voted on the House floor 2 weeks ago, that, as you point out, is a tiny, tiny amount of the total discretionary federal budget.
Yeah. All right. That's interesting. It really is. And you're talking about, as you said, not a big amount of money they're asking for this wall. All right. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
35 minutes after the hour, the president vowed to take down the violent gang MS-13.
We will find you, we will arrest you, we will jail you, and we will deport you.
That crackdown appears to be working to some extent. The progress made in one of the violent gang's biggest strongholds.
And President Trump taking a page from Game of Thrones in teasing Iran sanctions. Carly Shimkus rounding up the biggest stories, taking over your timeline this morning. Hello.
Highly unlikely, but if you're wondering whether or not your neighbor is a terrorist, several states are considering a registry that would list the names of released inmates convicted of terror-related crimes. It would be similar to the sex offender registries. Extremists would have to register as convicted terrorists with law enforcement or face a felony, and their names would stay on that list for life.
Terrorists are taking over dormant Twitter accounts to spread propaganda. TechCrunch reports ISIS is hijacking accounts that haven't been used in years. They're manipulating the email addresses used to open the accounts to gain access. Reports show some of the accounts had tens of thousands of followers. Twitter has since suspended most of the accounts.
All right, this likely won't surprise you, but fired FBI Director James Comey is defending Senator-elect Mitt Romney's bashing of the president in the Washington Post. And the reaction to that defense online was not pretty.
Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7 Sirius XM 115 here with Backlash. Hey, Carly.
Hey, good morning, guys. Not pretty on the Republican side of the aisle, that's for sure. So former FBI Director James Comey giving Mitt Romney's critical op-ed of the president his stamp of approval online yesterday, tweeting, "Looks like the Republican tent is too small to fit integrity." Today, Republicans attacked a senator for truthfully calling out the president for his lack of character while staying mute, as he proved it by lying about Jim Mattis and approving the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. Well, Comey, referring to the op-ed Mitt Romney wrote that you all just heard about, where he said the president has not risen to the mantle of the presidency. So cue the Republican outrage on this one. Brian saying Comey shouldn't ever talk about integrity. He has none. Les also on Twitter says dishonor James Comey as being typically childish. He, a legend in his own mind, has not a clue of how he really comes across. I have a feeling, though, guys, the Democratic reaction very different to this story. Yeah. I'm sure.
We got a glimpse of this poster of the president in the Game of Thrones themed poster on the desk yesterday. Tell us about this.
Yeah, that's right. So a Game of Thrones themed poster, as you see here, was spotted on the table during President Trump's cabinet meeting, playing off the HBO show's popular catchphrase, "Winter is coming." The poster says sanctions are coming, likely referring to sanctions against Iran. President Trump tweeted out that image in November, but HBO now responding to the poster after it went viral yesterday, saying, "We were not aware of this message and would prefer our trademark not be misappropriated for political purposes." Well, a lot of President Trump supporters thought the image was funny. One Instagram user says Trump loves to mess with the left, and I love it. And another person chiming in saying, "Crazy how a little joke caused the media to become so bent out of shape." Other HBO Game of Thrones stars, including Maisie Williams and Sophie Turner, also criticized the president for using the phrase on Twitter yesterday as well.
So social media brings out the interesting in people sometimes.
Yeah,
huh?
it sure does, Jillian. I like the way you said that. So a woman in South Carolina commemorated her 28th birthday by taking a jab at those newborn baby photos. So this woman posted this picture on social media. It says, 330 months old, loves champagne, hates dating in 2018. A lot of folks on social media loving this photo. It's already received thousands of likes on the Southern Stitched Photography Facebook page. Pretty creative, I think.
Dating in 2018 is pretty terrible. I'll agree with her on that.
And champagne, we love.
Yes, we do.
That's true. Wait, that's a dating photo? Did I miss something? What did you say?
I'll tell you in the break. I'll tell you in the break.
Yeah, well,
all right, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at this thing. I'm trying to figure out what it is. I mean, I guess this is way out of my league. All right, thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I just snorted. All right, some serious news now. The president vowed to take down MS-13, and now one of their biggest strongholds in New York is crumbling. Former NYPD Commissioner Bernard Kerik weighs in next.
But first, let's check in with Pete Hegseth, live from Grandma's Pancake House in Shelbyville, Indiana, to see what's coming up on Fox and Friends. Pete, you got to go say hi to my parents.
You know, I didn't know your parents were nearby.
Yeah,
Give me their address,
the
text it to me.
Yeah.
I'll personally try to go say hello if I get, or tell them to come on out to Grandma's Pancake House and Restaurant in Shelbyville, Indiana, right here in Shelby County. This county went overwhelmingly for President Trump in 2016. It went for Mike Braun as the seat flipped from Joe Donnelly in 2018. And we're actually in the district of George Pence, new member of Congress, brother of Vice President Mike Pence. So a lot of political action in this area. You guys know. We've heard a lot from the pundits this Christmas and New Year's season about what's going to happen, prognosticating about 2019. Well, the new Congress, the 116th Congress, is in session today. A new Congress, Nancy Pelosi hoping to be Speaker, Democrats taking control of the House. The fight over the wall, the shutdown continues. Enough of the pundits, enough of the politicians. What do the people think? We're going to talk to the people of Shelby County, Indiana, and get their view on this showdown in Washington, D.C. And I'm trying to decide, guys, between the flamenco skillet, the Italian sausage skillet, the Hoosier skillet, or the taco skillet. But this is also a Greek restaurant, so there's a Greek skillet too. So many choices.
Just try them all.
And you got to throw the pancakes in the middle, and everybody can just poke at those.
That's true. We'll do that. This is a pancake house, so I will be trying those also.
Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Send your parents, Rob. Send them here.
Good morning and welcome back. President Trump has long promised to help eradicate the brutal gang known as MS-13.
But I have a simple message today for every gang member and criminal alien that are threatening so violently our people. We will find you, we will arrest you, we will jail you, and we will deport you.
Now, new numbers show the gang's violent criminal activity has plunged in parts of New York State where it once thrived. Here to discuss is former NYPD Commissioner Bernard Kerik. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
I mean, look, this is something that President Trump has been serious about.
I was actually there that day when he gave the speech. He said he wanted it done. Congressman Peter King from that area was there. He was pushing this. I think they've done a tremendous job, and it shows what happens when the police department can work together with the community. And they've really done a good job because this gang, especially in that area, they were saturating the schools. They were going into the schools. They were recruiting other gang members out of the high schools, and they're going after the immigrant population.
Let's take a look at some numbers here from Suffolk and Nassau County crime statistics. 14 MS-13 related homicides in 2017. You compare that to the 4 in 2018. Now, look, that's a drastic difference. That shows that work is being done, improvements are being made, but this isn't over yet.
No, it's not over, and it's not going to be over, especially with the sanctuary laws, especially with the recruiting that goes on. But it's extremely important that the local, the state, and the federal authorities work together to do things like this. They can get the job done when they're communicating, when they're working together, and that's what we're seeing.
Let's take a look at this statement here from the Suffolk County statement on MS-13 crime reduction. And it says, quote, Suffolk County has waged war against MS-13 and our comprehensive strategy to eradicate this violent gang from Long Island is working. This dramatic reduction is a result of great policing, expanded community outreach, and leveraging governmental partnerships to bring in additional resources to combat gang violence. Let me ask you a question based off of that statement. If President Trump didn't take this so seriously and didn't want to crack down on this, what do you think would have happened out on Long Island, New York, and then elsewhere?
Well, the police would have been stuck on their own doing this. I think the president's efforts infused a bunch of federal resources that they wouldn't have otherwise, or they'd have to fight hard to get. When the president goes out there and he sends the attorney general out there and he says, go do this and get this done, then you have a number of resources that you normally wouldn't have.
Let's talk about this illegal immigrant who's been accused of murdering California police officer Ronil Singh. Just an awful story, a tragic story. The sheriff out there has been really sounding off on the sanctuary city policies. What do you think of that?
Well, it's not only the sheriff, Adam Christensen, Donnie Youngblood, another sheriff, where the capture was made. Both of them have been outraged by the sanctuary policies instituted by the governor that prevents local law enforcement from communicating with ICE, with the federal authorities in certain matters. But I think Lisa Smithcamp, I think her name is, she's a DA in Fresno County. I think she called it best when she said the governor's gone mad in instituting some of these policies. When you prevent local police and local sheriffs from communicating with federal authorities, you're going to run into problems like this. That guy should have been deported.
Let's go ahead and take a listen to what the sheriff has to say.
Ask yourself the question, why are we allowing criminal illegal aliens into this country, and why is there any political interference in the first place in our ability to protect our communities and to have a communication or at least work with ICE?
Do you think having them be so outspoken about this is going to potentially be something that creates change?
I hope so, and I hope it's educational for other governors. The governor of the state of New Jersey, where I live, Governor Murphy, wants these sanctuary laws. You know, they should be paying attention to Adam Christensen and Donnie Youngblood and Lisa Smithcamp. They should be paying attention to them because in California, they're seeing atrocities, and this is one of them.
Thank you for your time, Bernard. We appreciate it. Good to see you. It is about 7 minutes until the top of the hour. Migrants going to get to great lengths to sneak into one country where police just busted migrants hiding inside mattresses. And you want to lose some weight in 2019, don't we all? The hilarious way police officers are making that resolution come true. Inside mattresses. Border agents finding the two men after cutting the mattresses open near a crossing. The African migrants say they paid more than $5,000 US to a human trafficker. The driver fled when agents asked to inspect his vehicle. The men are currently at a migrant holding center. Wow. Crazy.
A man is caught on camera attacking a McDonald's employee for not giving him a straw. We want to warn you, this might be kind of tough to watch.
Wait, John! Hey, wait! Hey, no!
Oh my gosh.
And she's ready to fight back too. Good for her. The Florida man forcefully grabbing that female employee. He was outraged over St. Petersburg's new straw policy.
It's not her fault?
Exactly. Customers must specifically request a straw at this point, and this is ahead of a city ban that takes effect in 2020 when you won't be able to get one at all. The man is charged with battery.
Wow.
Guy went nuts.
All right, this time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And as always, we start with the good. Firefighters rescue a woman stuck 30 feet up a tree, chasing down her drone. Witnesses claim Enid Diaz had a strange way of calling for help.
She was hooing like an owl. So we had no idea what was going on.
I never one time said who. I'm not an owl.
A witness recorded.
What?
What?
After being stuck for more than an hour, Diaz says it was worth it to get her drone back. That's the good?
Yeah. Next, the bad. Some troopers start the new year writing 11 tickets in 3 days to drivers going more than 100 miles per hour. Those are some impressive speeds. Troopers posting the tickets to Facebook.